What are you doing now?
I'm gonna let the turkey rest and dry, kind of come up to temperature a little bit, make sure I get all the water and moisture out of it, and then I'll pat it dry, and then we'll go ahead and we'll place some seasoning and herbs inside of the cavity. I'll truss it then. This one we'll be able to use actually some of the bottom here that's still together to kind of truss the legs together. That's important to make sure that the turkey cooks evenly in the oven. And then it'll be ready to go ahead and place in the pan. We'll place some vegetables in the bottom of our pan, and then we'll be ready to go ahead and roast it.
And this was after how many hours of brining?
Approximately 12 hours in a pretty salt-rich brine, also with sugar, brown sugar, and some thyme and other herbs that I placed in there, such as peppercorns. Moving the wishbone, which is just inside of the neck. It'll take me a minute to do this since this is such a large turkey. But basically I'm taking a very sharp paring knife and I'm trimming around right where the neck would be. And you'll find the triangle here. You can see the wishbone right there, one side of it. And then you'll find the other side over here. And then I work up to the top, which is the point. The trick is you've got to cut right through the bottom here and all this flesh to be able to get it out. And so that takes a little bit of care and some time to do. And like I say, a very sharp knife. So be careful when you're doing this, but this makes carving the turkey so much easier if you can remove this wishbone. The breasts, you can just slice them very easily and this wishbone won't get in the way. So it's something that's recommended to do. Just take some time to do it. There, I broke a little part of it and that's fine. And I'll just take it out in parts then. These can be sharp, so be careful you don't cut yourself or puncture yourself when you do it. I got it. I gotta get the top of the wishbone out. A little bit of fat coming with it. There's the top of it right there. And I'll take the other pieces out. So that was lodged right between the breasts, like so, just inside of there. And what I was able to do is grab a hold of the two sides of the wishbone and then just give it kind of a twist and twist it off. So we'll just set that to the side for right now, and I'll go ahead and I'll remove the other parts, pieces of the wishbone, but I've got about most of it out. You can also use shears. These are really handy in a big turkey like this. These bones are really hard and heavy, and so you may not be able to cut through them with a knife. Okay, there's the other side of one of the wishbone pieces. And there's the other side. Go ahead and remove it here. It's got a little bit of a tendon on it, so I'll go ahead and I'll trim it off with the shears. There we go. And there's the other end. So that's the wishbone removed. That's going to make slicing this, the breast off of this turkey, a lot easier to do. It's time to go ahead and place some of the herbs and seasonings inside of the cavity. I'm not going to fill the cavity full. I want to make sure that heat's able to permeate through there. And just a little bit of seasoning is going to accomplish what we want. This is some fresh lemon thyme I just cut out of the garden. We had a nice shower this morning, so it's nice, clean, and fresh. It's got that little bit of a citrus smell to it. It smells really fresh and wonderful. So we're going to place that right on the bed of the cavity, right in there. On top of that, I'm going to be placing a fresh sprig of sage. And it smells wonderful. And this is the real secret ingredient to any good Thanksgiving turkey. Just a little bit of sage goes wonderful. Again, this we just pulled out of this garden. I'm just going to go ahead and slide it right inside of there. I've got a few ends of celery, which is going to give it a little bit of a nice flavor too, and a little bit of fragrance, some aromatic. I'm just going to set that over on the side. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of lemon, and I'm just going to tuck a little piece of lemon in there. Sometimes these carcasses, they can get a little bit of a musty smell to them. It was the inside of an animal. So if we put a little bit of lemon, the acid will kind of freshen, remove some of that lingering musty smell, and it'll give your turkey a nice, fresh, clean flavor to it. So here's the end of the lemon. I'm just going to go ahead and slide it inside of here, and that's going to take care of everything that we need inside of the turkey. This is ready to truss now. I'm going to go ahead and cut some line, and then I'll show you how I go ahead and I truss the turkey. We're going to be making some turkey soup, and so we need to make a broth with our turkey. Inside of the turkey that we had here, the turkey neck, you'll usually find it inside of the cavity, so make sure you remove that from your turkey, and that makes a wonderful broth. So we're going to place it inside of our stock pot. You'll also find the heart, giblets, and some of the other organs, usually stuffed in this small bag. Once they're thawed and frozen here, keep those in the refrigerator, and we'll be able to go ahead and dump these inside of our stock pot as well. And then if you've got any other trimmings, you don't want to include too much fat off of the turkey, but if you trim around some of the tail of the turkey, you could use some of those pieces as well. And there you can see we've got, I think that's the liver in there. Yeah, that's the liver and the heart is what we have inside of the bag. And that's going to make a wonderful broth.
And gravy.
Yeah, we can also use it to make gravy. So we'll just keep it in our stock pot here for now. This is a great technique you can learn from a video posted by Sandra Lee on a great method of flavoring and seasoning your turkey. Mine does not look nearly as pretty as hers, but this is basically butter that's been thawed, mixed with French onion mix, and then also I included paprika, which she does not use in hers. I find that gives it a nice flavor, and then also a little browning too. So I'm going to take a knife here and I'm going to slice little medallions, coins, and then I'm going to take these and slide them between the skin and the meat, the breast especially, of this turkey. This is a convenient, easy way of flavoring and protecting the meat on the turkey while it's roasting. Okay, so I've got this frozen log that has been frozen in our freezer here. I've sliced it into these medallions, and then another handy technique is to take a spatula similar to this, and then we can start placing these between the skin and the meat of the turkey. I've used the spatula as well as my own fingers just to go ahead and separate the skin from the meat. This is a large turkey, so this will take a little while, but I'm going to just go ahead and start placing these inside of here on each side of the breast. And I'll push these all the way back so we get an even covering, and this butter mixture will melt while it's roasting. I can take my spatula and I can just use it to go ahead and move some of this butter on back towards the top and the back of the breast. Use my fingers as well. This takes a little bit of time and a little bit of care, but it's really worth it. It's going to add a lot of flavor and really make this turkey come out nice. A little technique that Jacques Pepin recommends, and I found it to be incredibly helpful and important, is before you do anything else to the turkey, before you put it in the oven, make small incisions right underneath the legs, and that allows heat to penetrate through this really dark meat. They don't need to be deep, but you just want to cut through that skin a little bit, like so. And I'll do that on both sides. That's going to allow the heat to penetrate better and help this turkey to cook a little bit more evenly. Just make a couple little incisions there, like so. That's all we need to make. Just to add a little bit of sweetness, I'm going to just tuck a couple of apples right in here. Other thing that we did was we trimmed the tail off. This turkey had the tail on it, and we added that to our stock pot. The other thing that we did is we went ahead and we trussed this turkey. That's where I took some butcher twine. Because this turkey is so large, I actually doubled up, in which case it took about 22 feet of twine. And then if you look at Alton Brown's video for trussing a turkey, it's a great technique where you come across around the breast, and we want to keep this turkey as compact as we can, especially because of its size. That's going to help it cook evenly and roast evenly between the dark meat here on the legs and the thighs and the white meat up here on the breasts. So this turkey is going to be just about ready to put in the oven. We've got a couple more things to do to it. The next thing we'll do is we'll pat it dry so that we can go ahead and put some seasoning around the top of it. And then I'll show you a technique for protecting the breasts as well from overcooking and getting really dry. That way they'll stay moist and juicy.
How big is this turkey?
This is a 23-pound turkey.
It's big.
On the base of the pan, I've chopped up some carrots, some celery, and some onion. And then I'm going to add a little bit of chicken stock and some water as well. That way we keep the bird nice and moist. Not too much though. And then we're going to place the bird on top of this onto a V tray. Take a little bit of olive oil and I'm going to put on this V tray. That way the turkey is less likely to stick to it in case we do need to move it. It has a tendency to stick to the sides, and this will make it easier to remove from this V tray if we can. We're going to add some chicken broth to the bottom of this, and I'll also put a little bit of water, and that keeps it from burning on the bottom. We want to keep our drippings from burning, and then also help release some of the flavor, and that's going to help make our gravy later on too. I placed some of the remaining spread that we used to make our little butter medallions of goodness and slide between the skin and meat. Kept some of that out and soft, and so I've spread it across the remaining part of the skin. I've also taken some pepper bacon from our local butcher. I placed across the breast here to protect them, to keep them from getting overcooked. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of seasoning over the top. We'll install the thermometer and be ready to place it into the oven. This is just some basic poultry seasoning, or poultry rub. I'm just going to place it on top here, and that'll be good. We'll put some up here on the breasts. Install the thermometer and it'll be ready to go now. We've installed the turkey because this one has such large breasts. I want to put it at the coolest point while it's cooking, and that's going to be probably at the center, lower part of the breast. I'll take a couple temperatures to make sure that it's done. I'll take one in the thigh, but for right now, for monitoring it, we're going to monitor from the breast here.
Ooh, wow.
We've got the oven set right now on 500 degrees. We're going to go ahead and roast this bird for about 30 minutes at a real high heat, and then we'll bring the heat down. This oven is quite small and that turkey is quite large, so actually it'll be able to come up to temperature pretty quick and keep it there.